Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Big Lee's Worlds podcast. It is I, your host, Big Lee, and I just want to say we are back. I know it's been about 8 months since the last episode. Life's been pretty crazy. Life's been pretty hectic since then. So, this episode is just going to kind of get everybody caught up on what happened, why the podcast came to like an abrupt stop, and what's been going on since then, what the plan is for the future. And first, I just want to start out by saying thank you to everybody who went and they listened to the archived episodes. They went and picked up the Big Lee's World merch at bigleesworld.com. I want to say thank y'all. I appreciate y'all supporting me through this process and this time off. And like I said, I just really appreciate all the love and support, and I can't thank you all enough. So, like I said, I want to do this episode probably a little bit shorter than the next few episodes that come up. But this episode is to kind of fill everybody in on what happened, what's going on, why we went away, things of that nature, and to kind of get some things caught up in the plans moving forward. So, with that being said, in case y'all are listening to this episode really far off in the future and you're not really aware of what's been going on, we have been in a pandemic the past 2 years, and that has caused some people to have to make some life changes and things of that nature. A lot of isolation during different events, especially with the 9 to 5 and different events, to where in order to kind of keep it from spreading, everybody is kind of isolated out from one another. And, what ended up happening was towards the end of the summer of 2021, that isolation point kind of went away. Kind of started everybody getting back into the swing of what I would quote unquote call normality, to where everybody is starting to get back together, start integrating with one another, kind of trying to get back to that pre-COVID lifestyle. And as with a lot of people, a lot of people had issues with this, getting back around and dealing with other people and their quirks and things of that nature, and just being around people in general again. A lot of people, including myself, had some struggles with this. And it got to the point to where it was taking a toll mentally and physically on me. So bad that it got to the point to where I do something that I hardly ever do, and I went to the doctor. I went and saw the doctor. I said, hey, this is what's going on. Why am I feeling this way? Why am I having these struggles with dealing with people? Because anybody that knows me knows that I'm a very outgoing person. Like, I have no problems talking, associating with people. But for some reason, it now became an issue to where I was struggling to be around people, to the fact where I just wanted to be left alone and isolated. Doctor ran some tests, did some blood work, did an interview with me, kind of talk about some things, that happened pre-pandemic. Kind of talked about how the way I process things. Doctor told me that I do not process emotions very well. For those of you that remember, before the pandemic started, I went through a span to where I lost quite a bit of family and friends within a 2-year mark. And apparently, according to the doctor, I may have not processed that the best way. I just went through and kind of buried everything, and just kind of felt like it put a chip on my shoulder to be like, okay, well, now this has happened. This person's gone out of your life. This person's gone out of your life. You kind of get this mentality of, it's like, okay, my circle is getting smaller and smaller. Usually that's by choice. This time, however, it wasn't. So I feel like I'm stepping up for more responsibilities on all different aspects of life, both professional, personal, and it was just taking a toll. And I got to the point in life to where I was like, okay, I can handle most things if you just leave me alone. Nobody bother me. Just lock me up in my quote unquote office here and whatever comes up, I will handle it. And that's what I did for so long. And it got to the point to where, okay, well, now the world's opening back up. You're going to have to go out and start associating with people again, face to face, dealing with people, and kind of give and take to make a community work, if that makes sense. And I did not, like I said, do that the best. I felt like I was getting overwhelmed, panic attacks. I just was not handling well. And like I said, it was enough for me to go to the doctor, which is something I have to be pretty well next to death row before I go to the doctor. And like I said, through all the testing and things like that, they diagnosed me with having anxiety. And I was like, well, I don't necessarily... when it comes to mental illness and things of that nature, it's not something I'm really familiar with. I'm just, quote unquote, one of those bitter people that just make sure things happen and things get done by hook or by crook. So when someone tells me like something like I have anxiety and I need to work on understanding that not everything is in my control, everything will be okay, everything will work out, and just start taking these meds and see how you do with it and kind of go from there. So I wasn't too keen on this, like I said at first. I'm like, okay, well, I don't know how I feel about medicine or anything trying to sedate me. Or you can ask the doctor if you end up running into my doctor, he will end up telling you, he's like, yeah, I remember his first visit there. He was very back up against the wall, very, I don't want to say angry, but I made sure to let him know up front that I have trust issues with doctors, and some of the things that, in my mind, like, I was afraid that was going to happen, which apparently, looking back at it, had no logistics of actually happening, really concerned me. So, anyways, what ended up happening is, shortly after that last episode, everything kind of came to the head with the panic attacks. I made it to the doctor, and they gave me these meds. They gave me about a couple meds to take to see how my body will react to it and see if it helps. So it kind of got to the point where it's like, okay, I'm working these meds into my system to see if it helps, kind of measure out the dosage of what is too much, because like I told the doctor, it's like, you know, before all this, I'm a very sociable person, believe it or not. Some of y'all are like, yeah, he never stops talking, and the others are like, this dude's like one of the most unfriendliest people I've ever met. So somewhere in that line is probably where I actually am. But nonetheless, I was like, I don't want to be a sedated person. Like, I want to be highly functioning. I want to be out there, you know, doing what I was doing, because before I went to the doctor and all these panic attacks and everything weighing on me, it was like I was just wanted to go back to being left alone, isolated into my quote-unquote office here. I was missing events a lot more than, you know, what I initially planned to miss. Even after I started with this, like, I wanted to try to get everything going back, and it was just like, it was not the best ideal situation to be in at first, but it was also one of those things that it needed to happen in order to progress and grow and to get where I need to be today, 8 months later down the road, trying to get back into the normal routine of everything else I wanted to do. And it's been a slow progress with that. And that's what the next few episodes are going to be about, is like, okay, what did you do? How did you try to get yourself back to where you was once before? And what do you want to do next? And like I said, that's what we're going to talk about. You know, I was kind of hesitant at first when all this went down, because I had this, I don't know exactly how you want to put it, I don't want to say a stereotype, but I just had this ideal in my mind that it was like, okay, once anybody finds out that, hey, he's got anxiety, he's got to take meds to deal with people, they're going to be like, oh great, he's some psychopath, like, We don't need him to be involved in anything or be around anybody. And luckily, that was not the case. I found out within this 8-month process who I could really, I don't depend on, count on, who was there for me through the good times, the bad, and who was there to kind of help me make sure that I knew that things were going to get better. And I have to say, within the 8 months here, things have gotten better. Mentally, I feel stronger every day. I get better at dealing with people every day. Everybody's going to have a couple bad days. And when you have those bad days, you kind of feel like it's not just like, oh, well, it's a bad day. It automatically then becomes an us versus you mentality. Of it's like, well, okay, well, you just can't comprehend. It's like, hey, it's a bad day. You're like, okay, well, this person is out against me now. So now it's like a mental war between you and somebody else, and that other person may not even have a clue that this is even happening. But you feel like when you're personally being attacked, that you go into defense mode. And that's something that even the medicine, has not fully been able to change or correct. But it makes it happen less and less, I should say that. Well, like I said, overall, these 8 months, with the medicines and trying to deal with this, things have gotten better. Like I said, there's been a few people that have really, really been there for me. And, there a couple of them, like I said, we're going to talk about different experiences, reconnecting with them, just not feeling like these people turn their back on you. But it was like, okay, these people went above and beyond to reach out to make sure. My good friend Swan down in Nashville, there's an episode coming up about that weekend in Nashville, and she made sure that everything was cool, everything was good, and we had a killer weekend, and I'm going to talk about that in an upcoming episode here. She was there for me. My good friend Johnny Thurman, we've had an episode of his on here talking about tattooing and things like that. He was there. He reached out to me. He made sure that I was good. He constantly checked on me. My friend Kama down in Nashville, she made sure to check on me as well. She was there. If I had any issues or concerns or anything like that, or just needed someone to talk to, she was there. My friend, I don't know exactly how to put this one, because I don't want to, quote unquote, blur the lines of kayfabe, but I have a friend. You may or may not know him. We're just going to call him by his shoot last name of Chumbler. And if you know who it is, then you know. If you don't know, then you don't know. And that's fine. But he went above his way multiple times just to make sure that I was good. He would check on me and make sure I was, like I said, if I needed anything, if I needed someone to talk to. And like I said, he was there multiple times. I've got an episode with some of his adventures with him, myself, and his significant other, Jessica. And they've been awesome this entire time. So I definitely want to make sure to show them some love, say thank you. I want to make sure I don't forget anybody else. Shannon Young, he's reached out more times than he should. Anybody that knows, when we first met, and we talked about this in our episode, that we did not get along the best. And over the years, our friendship has grown. And it has grown to the point to where, he reached out to me multiple times to make sure that I was good. And I appreciate that. I have a friend named Courtney from the quote-unquote 9 to 5. She's been down this road with me, making sure that everything that, if I have any concerns, questions, things like that, she's been there to answer it, just to kind of make sure that I'm good, as a really good support system. And I really appreciate that. You don't always get that out of people. And these people that I've mentioned, they've been there for me, and they've reached out, and they've made sure I'm good. And I appreciate that. I really do. I want to make sure I don't forget anybody, because I feel really bad if I do. but also at the same time, the weather keeps constantly changing here, and 12 hours ago it was freezing cold. Now it's burning hot in here. So my memory is not going the best right now dealing with this heat. But I'm just trying to make sure I don't forget anybody. If I do forget somebody here in this process, I apologize. But those are the people, like I said, Swan, Courtney, Johnny, Shannon Young, Bob Young, Robert Young. It's bad. Like, Robert, he's a great friend. He's been there for me constantly. I always forget if he goes by Robert or Bob. It makes me a terrible friend, but like I said, my memory ain't the best to begin with. So, needless to say, he's been there for me as well. I'm just trying to make sure that I'm not forgetting anybody here. And, Caleb Carter's another one that's, the host of the Four Sides podcast. Just like with Shannon, we didn't have the best relationship starting out. We become really close friends in that process. I appreciate his support. Make sure you go to foursidesiv.com, I believe it is, and go check out his podcast, go check out his merch. Show him some love for showing me support during this time as well. And just trying to think, make sure that that's everybody. Like I said, if I forgot anybody in that process, I apologize. I think I hit the main people, but if I forgot anybody, I'm sorry. Like I said, my memory, like I said, when it comes to this, I kind of get all, I don't want to say confused or combobulated or anything like that. It's just, I want to make sure that the people that were there for me got the proper thank you. And I say thank you to those that I mentioned. And if there's somebody I forgot, I say thank you to that as well. I know at this point it probably sounds like I'm rambling and running on here, but like I said, mental illness is something that I've never really thought about or truly dealt with. It's one of those things. It's like anybody can tell anybody, hey, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be better. Tomorrow's a better day. Everything will be okay. It's not as bad as you think it seems right now at this point. Tomorrow will be better. Anybody can tell you that. But when you get to the point where you have to be willing to accept that, then that's the hardest part of the whole ordeal. So, like I said, it's took me about 8 months to really get ready to come back and try to get the podcast going back full-fledged. I kind of get choked up here at this part, but it's been a wild and crazy 8 months. Mostly good times, a few bad times. Some things that's been extra hard to deal with, especially with all this that's going on. I have been working on trying to process emotions, dealing with the pre-pandemic past that, like I said, I did not quite process the way that I should, because I'm just a person that's okay, well, this has happened. Life's too short to focus on things. Well, when it's too short to focus on things, it just builds up and builds up inside of you, and then eventually it reaches a point to where it's okay, I got to get this off the chest. I got to talk to somebody, or somebody's got to help me process this, because it's pulling down the rest of the quality of life here. So, but like I said, this episode is going to be a little bit shorter than the normal episodes that are coming up. We got a few episodes just to kind of talk about what's been happening in these few months. Some pretty cool things also in the works in the future, so I'm really excited about that. I just want to also say, like I said earlier, I just want to thank everybody that stuck with me through these 8 months while I've been working on trying to get better emotionally, mentally, however you want to put it. But I think we're at the point now to where we're ready to start back and keep moving forward. So once again, I just want to thank everybody that's reached out to me in this time. I want to thank everybody that has listened to the back catalog of episodes. I have kept a constant look at the numbers there, and it's crazy to see how these past episodes in my absence have been creeping up with higher listens. So I greatly appreciate that. I appreciate you all supporting my other endeavors, like with the AFU Hardcore and things of that nature, following my recommendations of music, movies, events coming up, things of that nature, and anything like I've just been kind of sporadically taking things to kind of help grow local businesses, things like that. For some of y'all that don't know, most of y'all do know that listen to this is, even though my 9 to 5 is more on the tech based side, I do have a background in marketing and advertising, and have had some pretty successful startups, and anything that I could do to help some local businesses or friends get started with their business. I've took time, and even during this time of trying to mental growth, I still wanted to take time to help those that were there to support me in this time. So anything I could apply with my skills and my traits, I wanted to make sure that I was there to help them as well. So, well, like I said, I appreciate all of y'all that stuck by me through this entire time. I appreciate all the love and support. Like I said, we're going to start talking here in the next few episodes of where I've been, what's been going on, the progress, and it's going to all culminate, something like that. Well, it's all going to build to, we'll get it out one way or the other, it's all going to build to some pretty cool stuff in the future that we're working on, and like I said, I just want to say thank you. I appreciate y'all staying with me on this journey, and I appreciate y'all willing to continue the journey with me as I grow mentally, emotionally, as hopefully you all, if you have mental health issues, reach out, get help. My DMs are always open. If you need somebody to talk to, or you have any mental health issues or concerns and you want what little advice I could give you on the topic, or just someone to talk to, then feel free to reach out to me. I'm willing to help you as others have helped me. And with that being said, I want to wrap this up before I continue to keep on rambling and going on about the same thing here. So, like always, I appreciate the love and support. Make sure, if you haven't yet, go to bigleesworld.com. Give us a like on the Facebook, the Twitter, the MySpace, the Instagram. You can find us at Big Lee's World. One thing that some of y'all have noticed is I did cut down the whole, in this process here, trying to, I don't say minimize the social media content, but kind of keep it more driven to one narrow pathway. So for y'all listening, yeah, I did delete one of my Twitters. I had a personal Twitter, and I had a Twitter for the podcast and the Big Lee's World brand. And I cut down my personal Twitter just to focus on this brand, because at this point everything was becoming repetitive and it was becoming a mental stress. Did I lose 75% of my follows when I cut down to one Twitter from my personal to this one? Yes. Was it worth it? Yes. So hopefully those listening to this, or those that had concerns about why one went away, go follow at Big Lee's World on Twitter. It wasn't nothing intentional. I didn't block anybody. I'm not a blocking type person, even though a couple people want to block me. But that's another story for another day. But yeah, like I said, it had to be done for mental reasons, and I don't regret doing it. And it's just starting back fresh, building up this new Twitter at the Big Lee's World as the primary Twitter. Yeah, for those that messaged also, I did delete one of my personal profiles on Facebook. I've gotten quite a few messages asking why we deleted them off Facebook, and it's not that I deleted you off Facebook, I deleted that whole Facebook profile. So if you want to stay in contact on the Facebook, I always recommend going to @BigLeesWorld on Facebook, giving the page a follow. You can message me there, comment. I'm super easy to get a hold of. It literally goes to one of the 15 internet devices that's constantly connected wherever I am. So I'm usually pretty easy to reach. And then, as always, you can follow me on Instagram at Big Lee's World, or my personal at BigLee756. And like I said, thanks for everything. Thanks for support. As always, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to shoot me an email at bigleesworld@gmail.com. Like I said, follow us on the Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Check out the previous episodes on your favorite podcasting platforms and at bigleesworld.com. Make sure to also, if you want to support the brand, you want to rock the brand out in public, go pick you up a Big Lee's World t-shirt at bigleesworld.com. And just one last time, will speak on this topic. I just want to say thank you all for those that were there to support me, to reach out to me to make sure I was good during this whole process. I say thank you. Much love as always. And to anybody that's having any kind of mental struggles or mental issues, it's not weak. It's not making you psychotic or anything like that. If you reach out to ask for help, it's probably one of the best things you can do for your life is to reach out, get help, and start that day, start a quote-unquote new day to get your life on the better pathway. So with that being said, as always, thank you, much love, much support, and as always, 2 scoops of whoop, whoop, whoop.